guys, welcome to the next episode of the Next Gen Podcast. Tonight I'm here with Jolie and Judah, and we're going to be talking to y'all tonight a little bit about our Bonfire series that we just got out of that really focused on sanctification and what it means to really surrender your life to the Lord and let Him refine you and help you to walk in a life of holiness. Jolie, I'm going to ask you first, give me 2 takeaways from this sermon series.
One thing that got to me was something that Pastor Chase said, that it's not the change in behavior, but it's the change in heart. Because like you can change like the way you act, but like deep down, are you going to do it again, or does it stick with you? And another thing was that he said was, if the cup is dirty on the inside and like it's clean on the outside, are you still going to drink it? Like that really struck to me, because like that has so many meanings towards it, like just in one like little example. Because like so many of us, like we show like all this kindness and like all this holiness on the outside, but on the inside we like keep taking the same mistakes and we just keep repeating it. Yeah,
that's so good. And you, Judah?
I think a good topic that they always talk about was God's forgiveness, and when it was talking about sanctification, was that no matter like what you do, no matter like how you mess up and how whatever you do struggle with or whatever it might be, that God's forgiveness is always there and His arms are always wide open for you. And I think that's just really good.
What was one lesson this month that really impacted you? And was there a particular scripture or story that stuck out to you along with that?
Really, I would say our C group time, just apart from the message, just like the C group time in itself has been really good this past series on the sanctification part. It was talking about no matter like what you've done, no one's ever too far gone. And I think that's really good, because I think a lot of people will think, whenever you mess up and you do stuff that like you think to yourself that you can't come back to the Lord. Another example is that is like when you think about it, like Paul, man, he was killing Christians and he was doing all this and that, and but yet Lord changed him from Saul to Paul, and changed him to be like wrote a lot of the books in the Bible. And I think that's really powerful about message talking about that, and that no matter what you've done, no matter how far you've, I guess, drifted off from the Lord's care in His arms, that He's always there for you.
Yeah.
So I think that's really good.
And I think that's such a good reminder, because I think as Christians, we will fight so hard for other people that we've seen stray and drift, and we'll fight so hard for them, and we'll scream on the mountaintop like God can change anybody. He can bring anybody back. There's forgiveness for everybody.
Yeah.
But I think when we ourselves mess up, that's where we really struggle to say God can redeem and forgive 100%. Everybody.
100%.
Yeah. Well, with what Judah said, I feel like for the longest time, like I felt like anything I did that was like disobeying God, He would like be ashamed. Like, I would be ashamed, and He wouldn't like forgive me. So I would never ask for help, because I didn't want anyone to see me less than like what I showed on the outside. And that goes back to the same thing that Pastor Chase like gave an example of, like with the cup. Like I tried so hard not to let anyone see the inside that was dirty. And something else that he said was that it's not a weakness to like ask for help, but it's actually a sign of wisdom. And that actually struck up to me, because it's like now I can actually depend on other people and ask for help in situations that I feel like I'm messing up in.
Yeah, that's good. And even if the cup's dirty, as long as you're cleaning it.
Yeah.
So was there a moment from this past month going through all these sermons where you really had to live out something that we were discussing?
Yeah, I would say this past month has been especially hard with I would say, just being a little vulnerable for a second, I would say probably loneliness was probably a big, kind of like a big struggle. And I know like as you get lonely with like whether it's relationships or friendships, not specifically with just like a relationship, but just like in general with just finding friends and finding friendship, I felt myself kind of drifting away from the Lord on some of the stuff. Just not getting close to Him as I once was. And whenever I came back to Him, it was almost like I wish I never left. It was like that. I don't know. It was like that. It was just like that love that you wish. Like I just wish I never left back. And it just reminds me that the Lord is always there for me, and He's always has His arms out there for me, and He has His arms out there for everybody. And I think that's really good. And I'll say that's probably past struggle this past month, but on that, yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome that you came back, that you recognized that and turned back.
I would say It was before summer camp that I was having a struggle with letting people go. And anytime that they would leave, like anything that happened, like they would just like walk out of my life, I would just like be a force and pull them back, even though there was obviously a reason, because I always go by everything happens for a reason. But what I didn't take into consideration was that they were leaving because that God was taking them out of my life. And it doesn't mean that they weren't here for like a purpose. Like he didn't put them in my life by accident, but by purpose. But I never saw the purpose, and I thought they were supposed to like last a lifetime, but they were only supposed to last a season. So I feel like last month with the whole sanctification, I was able to like surrender to God and say, I'm sorry, I will no longer like try to force these people back into my life that you're obviously taking out.
Yeah, sometimes sanctification can be separating you from certain people or certain situations where he's trying to refine you and he's trying to bring you to a new place, and that's going to include new people sometimes, and that can also bring you to that place of loneliness, but it's really just all in the Lord's timing and the work that he's doing in you. So was there anything, like we learned a lot about sanctification in different aspects. Was there anything that you learned during this series that was like new or surprising?
Sanctification, like it's not like a minute thing, like not a day thing where you just like ask God for forgiveness, but it's also a lifetime. So I feel like that would be new to me, because I feel like I would think of it as just like when I'm praying at night, like just asking for forgiveness, but it's also like something I should do like repeatedly for a lifetime.
Yeah. And I think for me, what I kind of knew but realized during this series was that you constantly, you'll struggle with something and then you'll come out of it and you'll be like, oh yes, like I conquered that, with the Lord, like we worked on it. And then the next thing you know, the Lord is like, okay, now change this. And so then you feel like you're kind of struggling through that. And so sometimes you can get discouraged and you'll be like, oh my gosh, I'm always struggling with something, like I'm always dealing with something, but it's just that refining work of the Lord. And as you continue to get closer with him, he's going to continue to refine you. And if you're not facing that, then maybe you're not getting as close to him as you think you are.
It just made me think about the scripture of like the trials and tribulations that you go through create a better perseverance in your faith and good character as well. The things that we go through are like really rough sometimes, but in the end, I know that like it's always there for a reason. And I know that like God always has a plan, especially too, that he's always going to use it to his glory. And I think that's really good too. Everybody just saying by getting closer to him, because whenever we go through stuff, it's sometimes hard to see the good stuff in things. But I would say it definitely does push us better to getting closer to God, which is also very good. And that was a good takeaway.
I think like just like the message, like just in general, like that I took in, like I feel like it's not just going to be something I just hold on to for like a little while. Like I feel like some of the messages that they give, like we tend to hold on to it, but then like it passes through us, like we kind of just forget about it. But I feel like this is just something that's like hard to forget. Like you can always look back on it.
For our students that are going to listen to this later, what is a piece of advice that you would like to share with them based on the sanctification message?
I feel like we're all young, so like just like going through different seasons, like if you're ever going through something, and it could be something good or bad, like you shouldn't just like not ask for help. Like you should ask for help, and it's not like a bad thing to ask for help, but it's something like that's powerful, and it actually shows like you as a person, like you're not scared, and like you're actually able to like help yourself. And just with mistakes in general, I feel like it's really good to ask for the forgiveness of God. And just like really looking back on the sanctification message, it can help you throughout like growing your relationship and like growing genuine spiritual faith.
I'd say you're not alone whenever it comes to like struggles, because like kind of looking back on it, like when I was younger, I would look as like, say I was in middle school, when I was looking at like these high schoolers, I was thinking like, oh dude, they have it all together, or they look, they look good, or they have it all together with their, they don't struggle with anything now. Then when I became a freshman, and I was like, oh, they did struggle with this, this is a big thing, whatnot. And then I was like, freshman, I was looking at seniors, and I was like, oh, they look so cool and confident. They must have it all together. Now that I'm a senior, I'm like looking back at it, I'm like, I just think it's such a misconception that like everybody has it together when they like nobody really has it all together ever. And I kind of just are a good reminder that like you're not alone in struggling with these things. And I would say I mean, I've kind of said this a good bit already, but like, you are never too far away from God too, from his arms. So you're not alone in your struggles. And Bible talks about you don't need to do life alone, because life alone, it's a lot harder, but it's a lot more easy and bearable if you have a good group, a good healthy group. And yeah, I would say you're not alone.
Yeah. And I like that you brought up, not doing life alone and iron sharpens iron, because that can be a big part of the sanctification process, because God can use your friends to help refine you, because when you're sharpening iron, that's really what you're doing. You're refining that tip back to something that's sharp and usable. And so God can use that community here to help in that refining process. If you could describe this month's theme with one emoji, what would it be?
I guess an emoji of like, what's that emoji? I don't even know. It has like stars on his face or something like that. I don't know. I guess that kind of makes me think of it, because like
the star eyes.
Yeah, the star eyes, because just like, I don't know, you're getting back with God. I guess, I don't know, just kind of what came to mind.
I think like just like the fire emoji, but like not because of the bonfire, but that however you're feeling, like you can always like set a fire in your soul, like with like getting deeper in your faith.
This month has been so incredible. I feel like I've heard so many testimonies and stories from students of just how this sermon series has touched them and shaped them. And like you said, it's really something that you're going to take with you moving forward and use in your everyday life. So I think that's all the time we have for tonight, but I'm going to let you guys give our announcements before you head out.
Okay, guys, make sure y'all come to Friendsgiving. It's going to be November 24th, and you should invite a friend, because Thanksgiving is all about spending time with family and friends, and it'll be fun. So you should come.
All right, December 8th is the Golden Youth Awards. I need y'all to be there. I need y'all to sign up, and I need y'all to vote for the nominees, because your vote matters.
All right, guys, thank y'all so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss another episode of the Next Gen Podcast. We'll see y'all next month.